The Christian in Complete Armor by William Gurnall. Chapter 10. Where all are stirred up to put themselves upon the trial, whether sincere or not, 3 arguments used to provoke to the work, and 4 false characters by which the hypocrite flatters himself into a conceit of being upright. Use 2. Secondly, doth sincerity cover all a saint's infirmities? This shows how needful it is for everyone to try his ways, and search narrowly his heart, whether he be sincere or hypocritical. Section 1. First, all depends on it, even all thou art worth in another world. It is thy making or marring forever. Psalms chapter 125, verse 5. Do good, O Lord, to them that are upright in heart. As for such as turn aside to crooked ways, the Lord will lead them forth with the workers of iniquity. That is, the end the hypocrite is sure to come to. He would indeed then fain pass for a saint, and crowd in among the godly. But God shall lead him forth with workers of iniquity, company that better befits him. It is sincerity shall carry it in that day. I will come, saith Paul, 1 Corinthians 4:19, to you shortly, and will know not the speech of them that are puffed up, but the power. For the kingdom of God is not in word, but power. What will ye? Shall I come unto you with a rod or in love? O friends, not Paul, but Christ will shortly come unto us, and he will know the speech and soothing language of such as are puffed up with an empty name of profession, but will know the power, gauge the heart, and see what is in it. Now, will ye that he come with a rod or in love, to judge you as hypocrites, or to give you the, spelled E-U-G-E, of a faithful servant? Doth not he spend his time ill that takes pains in his trade, and lays out all his stock on such commodity, which when he opens his stall will be seized for false ware, and he clapped up for abusing the country? All that ever the hypocrite did will be in the great day of Christ be found counterfeit, and he sure to be laid by the heels in hell for going about to cheat God and man. Every man's works shall then be manifest. That day shall declare it. Even the sincere Christian, where he hath tampered with hypocrisy, shall lose his work, but the hypocrite with his work, his soul also. Secondly, consider, hypocrisy lies close in the heart. If thou art not very careful, thou mayest easily pass a false judgment on thyself. They who were sent to search the cellar under the Parliament at first saw nothing but coals and winter provision. But upon a review, when they came to throw away that stuff, they found all but provision for the devil's kitchen. When the mystery of iniquity was uncased and the barrels of powder appeared, how many are there that from some duties of piety they perform, some seeming zeal they express in profession, presently cry, Omni bene, and are so kind to themselves as to vote themselves good Christians, who, did they but take the pains to throw these aside, they might find a foul hypocrite at the bottom of them all. Hypocrisy often takes up her lodging next door to sincerity, and so she passes unfound. The soul, not suspecting hell, can be so near heaven. And as hypocrisy, so sincerity is hard to be discovered. This grace often lies low in the heart, like the sweet violet in some valley or near some brook, hid with thorns and nettles, infirmities I mean, so that there requires both care and wisdom that we neither let the weed of hypocrisy stand nor pluck up the herb of grace in its stead. Thirdly, it is feasible. I do not set you about in endless work. The heart of man, I confess, is as a ruffled skein of silk, not easily unraveled, yet with a faithful use of the means it might be disentangled and wound up on the right bottom of sincerity or hypocrisy. Job, when Satan and his cruel friends labored to roll his spirit most and muddy the stream of his former course and condition by throwing their objections as so many stones into it, yet he could see this precious gem at the bottom, sparkling most brightly. Yea, Hezekiah, in the very brim of the grave, recreates his spirit with it. Indeed, friends, this is the soul's encouragement that it shall not want God's help in this search, if it goes about it with honest desires. A justice will not only give his warrant to search a suspicious house, but if need be, will command others to be aiding to him in the business. Word, ministers, spirit, all thou shalt have for thy assistance in this work. Only have a care thou dost not mock God in the business. That soul deserves to be damned to this sin, who in the search for hypocrisy pays the hypocrite like a naughty, dishonest constable that willingly overlooks him whom he searches for, and then says he cannot find him. Now, for the fuller satisfaction in this point and help in the trial, because it is that which both good and bad are mistaken in the carnal wrench, flattering himself his heart is good and honest, the sincere soul kept under fear of being a hypocrite, Satan abusing them both. I shall therefore first lay down the grounds of a hypocrite, with which he shores up his rotten house and shows the falsities of them. Secondly, I will lay down the grounds of the weak Christian's fear for his being a hypocrite and the weakness of them. Thirdly, some positive discoveries of sincerity which no hypocrite ever did or can reach to. Section 2. First, for the hypocrite, he will stand upon his defense. His heart is sincere. Well, how will he prove it? First, the hypocrite will say, Sure, I am no hypocrite, for I cannot endure it in another. Answer. This is not enough to clear thee from being a hypocrite, except thou canst show thou doest this from a holy ground. Jehu, that asked Jehonadab whether his heart was right, carried at that same time a false one in his own breast. It is very ordinary for a man to decry that in another, and smartly to declaim against it, which he all the while harbors himself. How severe was Judah against Tamar! He commands in all haste to burn her. Genesis chapter 38, verse 24. Who would not have thought this man to be chaste? Yet he was the very person that had defiled her. There may be a great cheat in this piece of zeal. Sometimes the very place a man is in may cause him, as the premium mobile does the stars, in a direction to which his own genius and liking would never lead him. Thus many that are magistrates give the law to drunkards and swearers, merely to keep the decorum of their place and shun the clamor that would arise from their neglect, who can possibly do better, and who can possibly do both when they meet with place and company fit for their purpose. Some, their zeal against another's sin is kindled at the disgrace which reflects upon them by it in the eye of the world, and this falls out when the sin is public and the person that committed it stands related, that is, conceived to be Judah's case, who was willing his daughter should be taken out of the way, that the blot which she had brought upon his family might with her be out of sight. Some again find it a thriving trade and make this advantage of avenging against others' faults, to hide their own the better, that they may carry on their own designs with the less suspicion. Absalom, as pertained his father's government, as a stirrup to help himself into the saddle. Jehu loved the crown more than he hated Jezebel's whoredoms, for all his loud cry against them. In a word, for it is impossible to hit all, there may be much of revenge in it, and the person is rather shot at than his sin. This was observed by Antony's zeal against Augustus. He hated the tyrant, but loved well enough the tyrancy. Secondly, saith the hypocrite, I am bold and fearless in dangers. Sure, I am no hypocrite. Fearfulness surprises the hypocrite, but it is the righteous that is bold as a lion. Answer. The better way, sure, were to try thy boldness by thy sincerity than to conclude thy sincerity by thy boldness. Truly, competency and a spirit undaunted at death and danger are glorious things, when the Spirit and the Word of Christ stand by to vouch them, when the creature can give some account of the hope that is in him, as Paul, who shows how he came by it. This is Christian, not Roman, courage. Romans chapter 5, verses 1 through 4. Many rooms he passes before he comes to this, which indeed joins upon heaven itself. Faith is the key which lets him into all. First, it opens the door of justification and lets it into a state of peace and reconciliation with God through Jesus Christ. Being justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. Verse 1. Through this he passes on to another, the present chamber of God's favor, and is admitted nigh unto him as a traitor once pardoned is, by whom also we have access by him into this grace wherein we stand. Verse 2. That is, we have not only our sins pardoned and our persons reconciled to God by faith in Christ, but now under Christ's wing we are brought to court, as it were, and stand in his grace as favorites before their prince. This opens into a third, and rejoice in the hope of glory. We do not only at present enjoy the grace and favor of God and communion with him here, but have from this a hope firmly planted in our hearts for heaven's glory hereafter. Now he is brought to the most inward room of all, which none can come at, but he that goes through all the former. Verse 3. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also. If thou hast not entered at these doors, thou art a thief and a robber. Thou gettest thy confidency too quickly to have it brought to thy hand by God. If God means well for eternity, he will make thee smart for this thy boldness, as he did Jacob for stealing his father's blessing. And therefore content not thyself with bare boldness and confidence in dangers, but inquiry whether it hath a scriptural bottom and basis to stand on, or whether the pillars supporting it be not ignorancy in his mind and stupidity in thy conscience. If the latter thou art in a sad condition, thy boldness will last no longer than thou seest it doth in one that is drunk, who, when he is wine-sprung, thinks, as they say, he can skip over the moon and venture to go without fear upon the precipices and pitfalls, but when sobered, trembles to see what he did in his drunken fit. Nabal, that feared nothing when drunk, his heart died within him and became as a stone at the story of Abigail told him in the morning, when the wine was gone out of him. 1 Samuel chapter 25, verse 37. Therefore, as he, when his cause miscarriage, through the sleeplessness of the judge on the bench, appeared from the judge asleep till the judge awoke, so do I here with you, that through the present stupidity of conveniency are bold and fearless of death, and from this plead your uprightness. I appeal from your conscience to sleep to the sentence it will give when it shall be awake, which I wish may be in this world, that you may see your mistake where you may amend it. Thirdly, sure, saith another, I am no hypocrite, for I perform secret duties in my closet. The hypocrite, he is nobody except on the stage. It is the brand of the hypocrite. He courts the world for his applause, and therefore does all abroad. Answer. Though the total neglect of secret duties in religion speaks a person to be a hypocrite, yet the performing of duties in secret will not demonstrate thee a sincere person. Hypocrisy is in this like the frogs brought on Egypt. No place was free of them. No, not the bedchambers. They crept into their most inward room, and so does hypocrisy into the closet duties as well as public. Indeed, though the place be secret where such duties are performed, yet the matter may be so handled, and is by some hypocrites, that they are not secret in their closets, like the hen who goes into the secret place to lay her egg, but by her cackling tells all the house where she is and what she is doing. But where this is not, it is not enough. For we must not think by some hypocrites may and do spin a thread finer than others. In all arts there are some exceed others, and so in this trade of hypocrisy, the gross hypocrite whose drift is to deceive others, his religion commonly in all without doors. But there is a hypocrite that labors to keep a fair quarter with himself, and is very desirous to make conscience on his side, which to procure he will go to the utmost length of his chain, and do anything that may not separate him and his beloved lust. Now secret prayer and other duties may be so performed as they shall not more prejudice a man's lust than any other. It is not the sword, though very sharp, that kills, but the force that it is thrust withal. Indeed, there are some secret duties as examination of our hearts, trying of our ways, and serious meditation of the threatenings of the word against such sin as we find in our own bosoms, with close application of them to otherwise would put sin hard to it. But the hypocrite can lay this sword so easily and favorably on that his lust shall not cry. But at it therefore still there needs a fuller search before thou canst come off. Fourthly, surely I am not a hypocrite, for I not only pray, and that in secret too, against my sins, but I also fight against them, yea, and that to good purpose. For I can show you the spoils of my victories, that I have got over some of them. There was a time I could not go by the alcohols, that my lust bid me stand and pull me in. But now I thank God that I have got such a mastery of my drunken lust. But I can pass by without looking in. Answer, it is good when thou dost say, and I wish all thy drunken neighbors could speak as much, that when the magistrate will not, or cannot spoil that drunken trade, they that keep those shops for the devil might even shut up their windows for want of customers. But is it not pity that what is good should be marred in the doing? Yet it is too common, and may be thy case. First, let me ask thee, how long it hath been thus with thee? Lust, as to the actings, I mean, are like a goose. The fit is not always on, and yet the man not rid of his disease, and some men's lust, like some a goose, have not such quick returns as others. The river doth not move always one way. Now it is coming anon falling waters, and though it doth not rise when it falls, yet it hath not lost its other motion. Now the tide of lust is up, and annoyed is it down, and the man recoils and seems to run from it, but it returns again unto him. Who would have thought to have seen Pharaoh in his mad fit again, that should have been with him in his good mood, when he bid Moses and the people go? But alas, the man was not altered. Thus may be when a strong occasion comes, this, like an easterly wind to some of our ports, will bring in the tide of thy lust so strongly that thy soul, that seemed as clear of thy lust as the naked sands are of water, will be in a few moments covered and as deep under their waves as ever. But the longer the banks are held by, the better. Yet shouldest thou never more be drunk, as to the outward fulfilling of the lust, yet this is not enough to clear thee from being a hypocrite. Secondly, therefore, let me ask thee, what was the great motive to take thee off? That may be as bad in some sense, which keeps thee from the alcohol house now, as that which hithertofore drew thee to it. It is ordinary for one lust to spoil another's market. He that should save his money from drinking it, to lay on more finery on his back, what does this man do but rob one lust to sacrifice it to another? Whether was it God or man, God or thy purse, God or thy pride, God or thy reputation, that knocked thee off? If any but God prevailed with thee, hypocrite is the name will better now become thee than when in the alcohol house. Again, if God, what apprehensions of God were they that did it? Some, the wrath of God for some particular sin hath so shaked, that as one scarred with an apparition in a room will not lie there any more, so they dare not, at least for a long time, be acquainted with the practice again. And as it is not the room but the apparition that the one dislikes, so not the sin but the wrath of God that haunts it, which the other flees from. In a word, maybe thou hast laid down this sinful practice, but didst thou hate it and love God, and so leave it? Thou art become strange to it to one. Have you not got acquaintancy with any other in the room of it? Thou hast laid down the commission of an evil, but hast thou taken up thy known duty? He is a bad husbandman that drains his ground, and then neither sows nor plants it. It is all one if it had been under water, is drained and not improved. What if thou cease to do evil, if it were possible, and thou learn not to do well? It is not thy fields being clear of weeds, but fruitful in corn that pays the rent, and brings thee in thy profit, nor thy not being drunkard, unclean, or any other sin, but thy being holy, gracious, thy having faith unfeigned, pure love, and the other graces, which will prove thee sound and bring in evidency for thy interest in Christ and through him of heaven. End of chapter 10, having been read by Peter John Paresis.